American Fugitive by Zhang. Chapter 17. Zhang Yu-Zhen. In the early morning the next day, in a room in Wuchang Branch Bureau, 5 people were monitoring various phone lines when Zhang Yu-Zhen walked in. She had returned to Wuhan 2 days ago after working in Luotian for 3 days with little progress. She was a veteran policewoman. She knew that fugitives like Lin Jianhan were smart. To her, staying in Luotian made no sense. Zhang Yu-Zhen knew that she had to gather information bit by bit and find clues. After spending 2 days in Wuhan, she was more convinced that painstakingly gathering and analyzing information was the way to find the Lins. The monitoring of phone calls used to be done by the telephone company, but at her request, monitoring equipment was installed at Wuchang Branch Bureau. Monitoring became much more convenient. She liked such progress. Zhang Yu-Zhen asked a young policeman, "What's going on?" The man replied, "There were 33 Wi-Fi calls to Luotian." "How many appeared before?" 15. "Add taps on the 15 numbers." The man said. "Yes. We will do that immediately." Yu-Zhen said. "How many calls were made to Wang?" 103. Yu-Zhen's cell phone rang. She answered. "What's going on?" A man's voice came through. "Director Zhang, I'm Little Dai from Luotian. Among the 48 people, 14 were suspicious. One of them is Hu Yutian, 28 years old. I found a Wuhan phone number in his phone book, and the name is Chen Deming." "Chen Deming?" "Yes. Chen Deming is from Huanggang. He is a migrant worker in Wuhan." Yu-Zhen asked. "Anyone else?" "There are 4 more suspicious Wuhan phone numbers, all of which met your requirement." "Good. Email me the information on the 5 people." Zhang Yu-Zhen took a notepad on the table and wrote down the name Chen Deming. She gave the notepad to the man and said, "Add Chen Deming." "No problem." Zhang Yu-Zhen's cell phone rang again. It was Lu Wenhui. "Good morning, Director Lu. Any progress?" "Some. No breakthrough yet." "Keep it up," said Lu. "We will do that. Do you have any concerns?" Zhang Yu-Zhen said. "It's good to be back in Wuhan. Thank you for asking." In the morning, Ren-Yee took a shower and shaved. He put on the painter's jacket and an old hat. He thought about ways to escape from China. Chen Deming lived in Kajadian, a suburb of Wuchang. He walked to a bus stop. Before getting on a bus, he walked into a fast food restaurant and started making a Wi-Fi call. Meanwhile, in the telephone monitoring room of the Wuchang Branch Bureau, a policeman picked up a phone on his desk and began reporting to his superior. The calling app Chen used happened to be in the list of apps on which the Bureau just acquired the capability of interception. Half an hour later, in his office, Xiao Zichang, Zhang Yu-Zhen, and Wang Xinjiang stood around a desk. A cell phone was on the desk, and the last sentence from Chen Deming's phone call could be heard. "See you tonight." Xiao Zichang clapped his hands happily. He picked up the cell phone and held it in the air. He said, "Great! With this, we can move forward." He turned to Zhang Yu-Zhen. "Continue monitoring." At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Ren-Yee left the apartment with a travel bag. He walked into a major street and had a bowl of hot dry noodles for lunch. Then he hopped on a bus. At 3 o'clock, he walked into a mall and turned on his cell phone to check voicemail. In the monitoring room in Wuchang Branch Bureau, several people were monitoring phone traffic. A policewoman said, "The cell phone is turned on." A fat policeman said, "Find out its location." The woman said, "Okay." The fat man immediately called Zhang Yu-Zhen. "Director Zhang, number 3 is listening to his voicemail." Zhang Yu-Zhen said, "Where is number 3? Reading from a monitor on the woman's desk, he said, "Near Hangkong Road in Hankow." In the mall, Ren-Yee walked while holding his cell phone close to his ear. He heard Chen Deming's message. "Someone wants to meet you first. We will meet outside the Dedongmen Electromechanical Market at 7 p.m. See you tonight." There were no other messages. Ren-Yee turned off his phone. Back at the Wuchang branch bureau, the fat policeman was on a phone when the policewoman said, "It's turned off again." The man looked at the woman, who shook her head. The man said over the phone, "It's turned off again." Then he sighed and hung up. Hankow Custom House, built in 1924. Ren-Yee left the mall and boarded a bus to Hankow Custom House Wharf, where he boarded a ferry. The two-story ferry soon left for Wuchang. Ren-Yee walked up to the second floor through a large staircase, among a stream of passengers. The second floor had rows of benches at the center, with metal railings and walking corridors along the edge. Ren-Yee sat down on a bench. As the ferry moved across the wide span of the Yangtze River, Ren-Yee's heart was filled with hope for a new round of collaboration with Lin Biao. A ferry on Yangtze River. The electromechanical market faced the busy Zhongshan Road in Wuchang. At 6:50 p.m., Ren-Yee walked to the store's gate. He did not see Chen Deming. Ren-Yee walked toward a display window and waited. Across the road from the electromechanical market, a dark gray SUV was parked. It was the temporary command post of SWAT team leader Wang. Inside, a policeman sitting in the front row surveyed the surrounding with a telescope. He said, "I saw Ren-Yee." Wang, who sat in the back, said, "Really?" He was suspicious of any progress at that point. Wang took a telescope and looked through it. "That son of a gun is out in the open." Excited, he turned on the transceiver in the car. "Director Xiao, Ren-Yee is here." "Great! The fox finally showed up." Xiao's Xichang's tone also conveyed excitement. On Zhongshan Road, a black Audi sedan slowed down and stopped next to the curb outside the electromechanical market. The back door of the car opened. Chen Deming beckoned Ren-Yee to come inside. Ren-Yee quickly walked over and got into the back. The car left. The driver was Gao Shenkuan, a full-time chauffeur, in a well-made suit with a stiff collar. Ren-Yee asked, "Where are we going?" Chen Deming said, "We're going to see the president." "Who is the president?" "You will get to know him when you see him," Gao suddenly said. "Not good. Someone is following us." Deming and Ren-Yee looked back and saw a silver-colored SUV following behind them. Deming asked, "Do you want to call the president?" Gao picked up a cell phone and handed it to Deming. "Use this phone to call." It was rush hour. The road was packed with cars. Gao's black sedan turned right. The silver SUV also turned right. The sedan turned left. The SUV also turned left. Inside the silver SUV, 3 men, all policemen in plain clothes, were busy. The driver was a middle-aged man. Sitting on the passenger seat was a young man in a suit, taking pictures. The young man reported to Wang through a transceiver. "Captain, the son of a gun has turned several corners. Should we stop the car?" "No. Follow it to his destination." Wang Xinjiang's tone showed full confidence. A white car squeezed in between the black sedan and the SUV. The black sedan was approaching an intersection. When the left turn signal became yellow, the black sedan entered the intersection and turned left. The white car slowed down before stopping at the intersection. The SUV passed the white car on the right-hand side and made a sudden and quick left turn. The black sedan entered the left lane, waiting in front of a red light. Several other cars also waited at the intersection. A red car stopped behind the black sedan. The silver SUV followed and stopped behind the red car. The cars on the crossroad zoomed by, one after another. As a gap appeared in the traffic, Gao Shenkuan seized the opportunity and turned right quickly. The red car moved forward slowly and stopped. The driver of the SUV honked. The red car driver ignored the noise and waited for green light. Cars on the crossroad zoomed by in front of the red car. The SUV driver knew that even if he were in front of the red car, he could not have made a right turn. He pounded on his steering wheel. "Damn!" The man in the passenger seat shook his fist. He managed to hold his tongue before swearing. The young man reported again. "Captain, the black Audi suddenly turned right and ran away. We are blocked here." Turn right at the next intersection. Wang Zhenjiang's tone was calm. When the black sedan came to an intersection, Gao Xingquan made a right turn. Ho Ren-Yee and Chen Deming, in the back seat, were relieved. The two smiled at each other. Deming said, "Old Gao, you are a master." Gao said, "We can't go see the president today. In a short while, both of you should get out and go your separate ways." Deming and Ren-Yee were taken aback. Deming asked, "Didn't you get rid of the police car?" "It's not that simple. You must leave this area immediately after getting out of this car. The faster, the better." Deming and Ren-Yee looked at each other in surprise. In the command room of the Wuchang branch bureau, several large screen monitors filled up a wall. A big map of Wuchang was displayed on the right side of the wall. A mark representing the black sedan was moving on the map, while police vehicles were shown in its vicinity. Two policemen were coordinating police vehicles through transceivers as Xiao Zichang and Zhang Yu-Zhen looked on. The black sedan stopped at an intersection. Ho Ren-Yee said to Gao Xingquan, "I will leave my travel bag in the car. I can walk faster this way." Gao said, "No problem." Chen Deming said, "Goodbye." Both he and Ren-Yee left the sedan. Ren-Yee turned right into the crossroad. Deming walked into a big department store nearby. The black sedan left the curb, entering the intersection. Suddenly one police car rushed from the left, blocking the sedan. Gao Xingquan quickly braked, but the sedan almost hit the police car. Ren-Yee turned his head and looked back when he heard the screeching brake sound. He ran. Two men jumped out of the stopped car and chased Ren-Yee. Another police car stopped in front of the department store. Two policemen got out and ran inside the store to search for Deming. There were many pedestrians on the sidewalk. Ren-Yee ran through the gaps in the crowd, as nimble as a rabbit. After running over 100 meters, he looked back and found the two policemen were not as fast as he was. When Ren-Yee was about to run across an alley with no traffic light, a motorcycle suddenly came directly toward him from the right-hand side. Ren-Yee jumped to the left to avoid the motorcycle and fell on the ground. He got up and continued to run, but a policeman caught up with Ren-Yee. He grabbed Ren-Yee's arm, and both fell. Another policeman came and got on top of Ren-Yee. The third policeman came and handcuffed Ren-Yee's hands behind his back. Two police cars came. Pedestrians stopped and watched the action. Two men pulled Ren-Yee to his feet and took him to a police car. Ren-Yee's face had bruises and his shirt was dirty. He stopped in front of the police car. A fat, middle-aged policeman walked over. He punched Ren-Yee's head. Ren-Yee's nose bled. The fat man barked, "You can escape the first day. But you can't escape on the 15th, regardless whether you are a Chinese fugitive or an American fugitive." Blood dripped on Ren-Yee's shirt. A policeman shoved him into the back seat of the car. Ren-Yee raised his head, hoping that would stop the bleeding as the car left. Chen Deming was caught by police at a side door of the department store. Deming, Gao Xingquan and Ren-Yee were put into 3 different police cars, but all 3 were sent to the Wuchang branch bureau's detention center.